Today it's time for an extensive Autobahn test of the Tesla Model Y. How good is it on the German motorway? How does it rate against the Tesla Model 3? How does it rate against the competitors like the VW ID4 GTX? We'll all find out here in Autogefühl with Thomas. Let's go! In the front, the typical sleek Tesla design, everything set on wind efficiency, and yes, they are indeed very efficient overall. That leads to a high range. Soon more to that. With 4.75 meters or 187 inches, the Tesla Model Y is a little bit longer, wider, and of course higher than the Model 3. And main change is that the Tesla Model 3 is mainly based on a steel chassis. This one here, like the S and the X, based on an aluminum chassis, an all new one. And also for the other rear and front parts, they use this so-called giga casting. So that means less parts overall for the chassis. That makes the riding better as for the chassis rigidity. So definitely stiffer body, and we'll see how that one plays out in the driving part very soon. This will be very interesting. 19 or 20 inch wheels for the long range model, which we have here today. All-wheel drive, one electric motor in the front, one in the rear. Performance model will also get 21 inch wheels. These here are the 20 inch wheels. However, if you want the best comfort, stick with the smallest wheels available. Black door handles and also black frames around. This has been changed also for the Model Y now, if you could get it before. Now the first time we can also get ones in Germany. These here are the Shanghai built models so far, and of course when the Gigafactory close to Berlin is finished, then this will also be built in Germany. This will also be very exciting. We'll keep you updated with that. In the rear, definitely a small Tesla Model X, definitely, but I think the shapes then work definitely better, so it looks a little bit more elegant than the more bulky X in the rear here. As for the acceleration figures, here for the long range model, all-wheel drive, 5 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 4.8 seconds to 60 miles an hour. And for the performance model, it's 3.7 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 3.5 seconds to 60 miles an hour. However, this one here, I can tell you from the driving part, is already really quick. And what's the top speed? Yeah, we did find out today in the driving part. Look out forward to that. Turning indicators, by the way, in the front, they are very visible. In the rear, they are smaller, however, not as small as with the Model 3. So this is definitely an improvement. With the Model 3, we often saw horrible panel gaps, the famous German Spaltmaße. But here, look at that, here in that Model Y, Shanghai build, that all looks really good and sophisticated. So nothing to complain here at all. This one also here with a very smooth transition, so this is not topsy-turvy, and here once again very well aligned. And what else is important? HEPA filter is included, heat pump is included, 14 speakers for that sound system also included. It makes it so easy to configure such a Model Y. It's not the cheapest one from the entry price, but then again the price also doesn't go up, and so they make it really easy for the customer to pick a vehicle. Then just pick the color, interior, color, and that's basically it. Oh, and if you get a towing hook, 1.6 tons or 3,500 pounds of towing capacity. 77 kilowatt hours for that battery here, checked it in the papers. And here is a charging port, 270 kilowatt max at the Tesla supercharger. As a car key, you get these key cards, but you can also order a real key fob from the shop. I would recommend you to do that, otherwise use your smartphone. Then door handles fold like this, and yeah, not the most practical, but they are also integrated and feel actually quite good. So then door closing sound, not most sophisticated, but actually quite good for a frameless door vehicle, so it's okay. And what's really interesting is this here in the front is, you can see it right there, dual insulation glass. Once again, black or white interior, all that red, all animal free. Way to go, Tesla. So no animal cruelty for this model when you buy it. Really awesome job to make it standard and the only option. Steering wheel, also everything simplistic. Left side for volume, right side you press it for the voice control, for example. And of course everything else in that screen. Seating position is not uncomfortable. However, the seats themselves, they could be a little wider and longer, especially for taller people. So not really that suitable if you're just a little bit taller. So they could work on that. But the base ergonomics are actually quite okay. And headroom here, 1.86 or 6'1". It's actually way more than enough because they just have this fixed panoramic roof. What I really like about this interior is that it's so simplistic and that really calms you down. On the other hand, either instruments or head-up display would be cool. So otherwise you just see the speed here in the upper left corner and it's okay, you do get along. However, it would still be good. Yes, yeah, you wouldn't have the seatbelt on. Bing, bing, bing. It would be better to have either digital instruments or a head-up display as an option. So come on, Elon. Other than that, here 2 inductive charging pads for your phones and also with a nice microfiber cover and a lot of space here in the middle console right there. Cup holders, they are not adaptive though. And here also underneath a lot of space. So that's really good. So you feel as it would be quite spacious. And once again, the build quality here, meanwhile, soft touch here in the front, the great matte wood here. Build quality has been so topped up if you compare to earlier Tesla models, so the interior build quality is meanwhile definitely premium. And definitely a lot to discover in that screen here. First of all, as for the energy consumption, that is very interesting. So this is more here with some, city, rural traffic, driving slowly, not much on the motorway, and if motorway a little bit slower, then we like 13 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that's some 22 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. I just changed that in the display. Wow, that's amazing. And that would rather mean some like 600 kilometers or 350 miles of range. However, if you include more Autobahn and so on, it rather goes down towards 400 kilometers and 250 miles. The camera is really cool. I just still can't get over it why it has a different light temperature here for the side cams. I really don't get that, Do you? So many things to discover right there. What's always important that usually I have the acceleration set to chill because it's just more chilly in the ride, and the standard acceleration is really fast. You will see that very soon. Oh yeah, and then, with the steering wheel and mirror control, yeah, that to do it here and then over the steering wheel, not the most practical thing. And of course also with the glove box, why just, you don't have like a normal glove box control? That would be definitely cooler. Rear bench, first of all, soft touch here at the rear of the doors. That's great. Also microfiber inserts. So this is really premium quality here for the interior. Then it's not the longest vehicle, but definitely enough legroom here, and there's no middle tunnel whatsoever. So really using this EV platform. Headroom also enough left because you have this panoramic roof. That looks really cool. But yeah, it does get hot in hot days. But overall, comfortable seating position here for the rear. As for adjusting the rear part here, you see you can put it like this, more upright, but then you can also put it a little bit more backwards. So that's actually possible to have a more like, leaning back position. Here in the middle part, you can also easily sit as a tall adult, 2 USB-C charger, and yeah, hardly ever we see that it's so well executed that there's no middle tunnel whatsoever, really using this EV platform. Here in the middle part, you can also fold out some cup holders. They are also adaptive actually, and actually a very wide middle console here, so it's kind of relaxing and also for the rear passengers. And also in this model right there, panel gaps so very well aligned on the interior, and here for example for these hangers, click, click, nice clicking sound, soft dampened, so indeed more and more premium interior details. Here the length is 1 meters and 10 or 43 inches. That's very good. Then here in the width, let's see, so the width right here is 95 centimeters, or yeah, we can very well switch it around then, or 37 inches, also well usable. And the overall height right there, because there's no cover anyway, this then here at 28 inches or here 70 centimeters. And you can very well fold the seats from here already, so it's a very good function here. Electric control, that's the way. That's the way. Hashtag movie quote or series quote. Then there we go. Yeah, it's almost at this 2 meters mark, so 1 meters 90 here to my driving position, or 76 inches. So very well usable, and there's hardly any big difference to the Tesla Model X, for example. Here, big space underneath. You can put also your cabin trolley in there, and also have it here like standing upright. So This is very, very convincing what we see here. And of course there is a frunk, and a quite spacious one, and you can, for example, store additional charging cables in here. Welcome to Thomas's driving lounge. Today electric Autobahn driving lounge, and let's first start with the fuel economy, well, the energy economy of course for the EVs. So my long-term average now is like some 18-19 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer, so something like 29-30 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. Short term a little bit better. You see here when I also have some topography changes in the city and so on, and more city driving. So that means actually when you have a lot of Autobahn, a lot of motorway share, like 100 kilometers an hour, 120 kilometers an hour, 60, 70 miles and so on, you more get to this 400 kilometers of range or 250 miles of range. When you have more city traffic share and more using these advantages of the EVs, topography changes, stop and go and so on, and really go like a super efficient run, 500 kilometers or 300 miles of range, that's possible theoretically, but when you more drive it like a German, rather not. Then it's more like 400 kilometers or 250 miles. And what do I mean by that? It's to follow right now. So let's check this out, the acceleration, and well, this display is quite bright. I mean, it looks brighter than it actually is, so let me tune it down. So on camera it looks even brighter than it actually is here now. I'm in the standard driving mode, and I'm starting here from 30 kilometers an hour, long range all-wheel drive model. There's nothing coming, so empty at motorway. This is what you deserve, guys. Let's go. Woo! 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, and I mean, this is going even faster here. You see here, let's see if we can get it to top speed. And that should be now. Oh, 219 kilometers an hour, it says now. That's the top speed, and wow, I mean, lane change here, kind of stable. But then again, when we have these waves, it shakes up a little bit. Steering is really sporty, so I have to be very precise and subtle with the steering wheel. Of course, suspension is not set on a node where you have like super sporty control over the car. It shakes up notably again when you are in these waves. Noise insulation wise, as for the wind noises, that was actually quite good. As for noise and so on, I really have to say, once again, they worked on the noise insulation of the vehicles in general, and the Tesla Model Y is so far the best Tesla, I really have to say, in so many respects. And here, 1 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, typical motorway speed. It's very silent as for the noise from wind and tire roll and so on. When does it get loud? When you're driving over some bumps. So anything that comes from the suspension. So when you're going in potholes, like bam, you feel it and you hear it. 20-inch wheels here. I do recommend to go with the 19-inch wheels here with this model, and also not to go for the performance model. You've seen the performance here. It's a great performance when you take just around 5 seconds for this acceleration, even a little bit less in the miles per hour, 60 miles per hour figure. That's more than enough, you know. And here, the car is really sporty, again, precise steering wheel. Wow, great acceleration out of the corner from the 2 electric motors, front and the rear. The car is so much fun, you know. So here, lane change. Wow, it feels like a go-kart, although it's an SUV. The only thing, you know, really high speed, then, you know, didn't feel that safe actually, because it was shaking up too much, but we can't expect it from the vehicle. It's not meant to do that, and it's not the task, you know. So this car does not have to be stable at 200 kilometers an hour or 125 miles an hour. No one will ever drive that except me in Germany. So yeah, so 99% of the customers will not use that. And when you now compare the competitors, like the VW ID4 GTX or the Skoda Enyaq ADX or the Audi Q4 e-tron in the all-wheel drive trim, for example, the Ford Mustang GT, Ford Mustang E GT. So they're all a lot of fun because you have the instant torque, And this one here is not less fun whatsoever. Really good, as I said, great handling. Also then from the acceleration. The only thing is really the suspension. So if you have the 19-inch wheels, it's maybe a little bit better because you have a little bit more dampening from the tire. But always when you're going over some, some lines on the road, some potholes and so on, you hear it like boom, and you also feel it. The suspension, how it reacts to, uneven roads, that's not good at all. So this is so many things about this vehicle were really good. Big problem definitely, no instruments, no head-up display. You can get along with this and the speed here, but it's not ideal. It's not good, Head-up display or instruments, at least one of this is definitely missing. That's the one thing. The other thing is definitely the suspension. This is where this still separates itself from the German competitors. The infotainment system with Tesla is way better. The suspension is way worse than with the Germans. One more acceleration, guys, let's go. Woo! That gives you the kick. That was from 80 kilometers an hour, and now you see, wow, that goes really in here. 180 kilometers an hour, it's still reasonably silent here as for the wind noise. So again, as for this respect, really nicely done, and it still handles now quite well, this high-speed corner. So it also handles so much better than all the other Teslas. So this new aluminum chassis and with a giga casting, where you have like less pieces from the whole chassis, especially on how the front and the rear parts are being attached and so on. This has a big effect. So way less flexing you feel, especially if you compare it to the Model 3. The Tesla Model 3 feels, like it is flexing all over the place from the chassis the whole time. And this one here definitely feels more elaborated. I just wish they would have done more to the suspension. I mean, we've seen it with Tesla over the years, that they keep improving and improving and improving. So this kind of gives me hope that they also do something about the suspension. Maybe even of an air suspension here, like they do for the X and the S here in the Model Y, or some adaptive dampers or something. I don't know, that would be something. So like the VW ID4 GTX, which is one of the main competitors, definitely offers adaptive suspension. The Ioniq 5, by the way, does not offer adaptive suspension. So this is something, more towards the Volkswagen Group, where the Enyaq and also the Q4 e-tron do offer this adaptive suspension. The Kia EV6 has also more sophisticated suspension. I talked to the suspension manager recently from Kia, and they did something, like they changed a lot compared to the Ioniq 5. I will tell more about that when we drive the Kia EV6, definitely. This will be very interesting. But here, definitely, once again, driving-wise, reveals the suspension is the weakness of this vehicle. And as long as the road is even and good, that's fine. But a lot of you guys are from countries or from certain regions, and even when your country is kind of rich, there are always somewhere bad roads you can complain about, So this is something, they can definitely improve even more. But still, however, a lot of fun in the driving, and it becomes even more apparent, when I took over this vehicle. I drove there in a Mercedes GLE in the AMG. Yes, it's a segment higher, definitely, but it has an AMG tuned suspension and 22-inch wheels. So the air suspension there was tuned like super stiff. And I switched to this one and thought like, what is this kind of suspension? Like more like, whoa. So and this kind of revealed all the difference, So I mean, it's very interesting that we can really find out more about that, but everything else, like steering performance, which you can also still set, if you wanted a little bit more feedback here, or if you wanted a little bit softer and so on, you can adjust that. Acceleration wise, once again, really cool. Now in the tunnel, definitely missing some ambient lighting here. So the thing is, they have improved the build quality so much. If you compare it to the earlier Teslas, that's great. But there are still features missing where you say like, this is a premium car, period. Like the suspension, like ambient lighting, like an instrument or head-up display and so on. like when the hedge is closing and it's going like bam, you know, so I want to be closing softly, for example. You know, the old S-Class in front of us here. I'm not sure if you've seen it. So there are still things missing where it's like when I pay like 60k euros in Germany for this vehicle, I want some features to be more premium, you know. Still, it's a car that is a lot of fun. Now driving up Autogefühl's peak. Wow, the acceleration up the hill. This is amazing. Now I'm using a little bit of the brake. Wow, this is impressive. This is really, it's not the performance version. It's not a sporty vehicle overall, but low center of gravity due to the battery pack. Great acceleration, feels so balanced here. The road is, this is amazing. I mean, it's amazing how much driving fun it gives you. And once again, chassis-wise, no doubt, this is the best Tesla so far. And I think not only chassis-wise, also in so many other respects. And if the German-built Model Y will be even better than the Shanghai-built Model Y, which is this one here, then maybe I have to think about buying Tesla stocks again. But you know, when I feel suspension, I feel like, better don't buy Tesla stocks. And then when I feel like, you know, how well the car is handling here, also hairpin corner, and how it's getting out of there, and also how efficient it is, and so on, then I'm thinking, maybe it is a good idea to buy Tesla stocks again. Yeah, that's the thing. So you feel that I'm really enthusiastic about this vehicle, and there are things where I really have to say, no way, you know, like this is, here the road is like, do you hear that? The road is so bad here, and then you feel, especially from the rear X, like, and now to the potholes, and this is like really like whoa. And with like the VW ID4 GTX with the DCC adaptive dampers, which are an option of course, this would be, for example, way better, and even better than, you know, when you have like some of the German premium vehicles. So this is no doubt a difference. The majority of the other vehicles, like especially when I drive like a German premium car, I say like, oh yeah, this is a very cool car. I can really imagine like having that one. You know, when I drove the BMW Z4 for the first time, and you're like, this is so much fun. I have to get this vehicle. You know, so something like this. You know, but the Tesla is really like this. More like the longer you use it, the more you see the advantages, and then also rather become a fan. You know, like this buying for the why, not for the what, and swipe away some of the disadvantages it still have. And I can just stress again, I mean, we have gray roads here today and hardly any traffic. I pick this time of the day in the evening to have good light, soft light, and also empty roads. And this is the most fun I ever had in a Tesla by far. And it's not the lowest Tesla, it's not the most powerful Tesla. Once again, it's the best Tesla out there is at this moment. Of course, we have more Tesla reviews for you, like the Model 3 versus the Polestar 2, for example, or then the Tesla Model S review, or what about the competitor of this one here, ID4 GTX. This one, of course, you should tune into.